The Big Ten is a conference that, in my opinion, right now is the best conference in all of college football. So I predicted every game. I did it in short form content. You can go find it on, YouTube Shorts. But I finally thrown them into tiers. Starting off, we'll talk about the title favorites. Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. I think they're the three best teams in this conference. I think they are pretty much head and shoulders above everybody else. You look and you're like, they have the best coaches, they have the best players, and they've proven that they've shown up for the big moments. You can talk about Oregon hasn't won a national championship. Yeah, but they've won Big 10 titles, so who really cares? As well as Dante Moore's coming back. The wide receiver room is going to be as talented as it is. Those are the top three teams in the Big Ten. I don't think there's any discussion. I call it the sleepers tier, and I really don't know how many of these teams are true sleepers, but they're almost more wild cards. Because USC, everybody puts them in the top 15. I don't. Because of what happens if they don't get the +4 overalls like we're in a video game and they're very similar to how they were last year and the schedule is significantly more difficult. That doesn't seem like necessarily a winning formula. And then Michigan, it's quarterback play. How good is Bryce Underwood going to be? Washington, can everything come together? It's a big time question. For Iowa, quarterback play. And then Penn State, with how terrible the schedule is, they're going to win a lot of games. But once again, who really cares if you can't beat the top three teams in the conference? You can't win a Big Ten title, and you can't be a true player to make the college football, or win college football playoff games. The middle of the pack, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Wisconsin, Nebraska, the last coaching hires, they really haven't worked out, but they haven't been disasters either. I think Luke Fickell has a schedule where if he takes care of business, they could be a 9-win team. Nebraska, on the other hand, has an absolute gauntlet. I mean, it's hell on earth, and they haven't beat a top 10 team or top 25 team in a decade at this point, or it will be on September 19th, and they play UND and Bowling Green before then. So it will be a decade at some point. I just don't think they can beat the teams in the sleeper category consistently, and get out of here with title favorites. Minnesota and Illinois, I'm a little more optimistic on. One, because Brett Beulah just has Illinois in such a position where they've consistently been really, really solid. And then for Minnesota, Drake Lindsay could be that guy. I'm from Minnesota. I've watched them for some time. Nothing's ever really pumped off the page for me. But people tell me he's really, really special. People tell me they got top 10 returning production. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, they do. Is that going to beat Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon? No. Could you knock off Michigan and Iowa and, beat Wisconsin? Absolutely. And then, going back to Illinois, Kane Hauser should be fine. I think he's very similar to Luke Altmaier. Defense should be good. Run game should be good. They're a middle of pack team that's going to win maybe 7 to 9 games. Bowl game would be successful. UCLA, Maryland, Northwestern, Michigan State. A lot of people will look at really UCLA and Maryland and go, you're pretty low on them. Maryland, for sure I am, because how long I've heard Loxley's going to break out. They have elite level quarterback play. They're going to win the Big Ten. Maybe not that last part, but that's my point. I've heard it a lot. It hasn't happened. Why is next year different? I just don't think it is. The schedule's not remarkably easy. You get Virginia Tech in the non-conference. Maybe you win that game. Congrats, I guess. And then for UCLA, it's just too early. Bob Chesney is a great coach. The resources are starting to get there in terms of the financial backing that it takes to be successful in a conference like the Big Ten. I just don't quite think it's there yet. Very similar to Northwestern. Northwestern's spending a lot of money. They could be very good in the near future, but I just don't think they're quite there yet. But going to Northwestern and Michigan State, Northwestern's got the worst schedule you can imagine. I mean, they play pretty much every team in my sleeper and title favorites. It's awful. I feel very bad for them. I honestly like the schedule, and I could see them beating a sleeper team, maybe even 2, but I don't think they can consistently do it. Aiden Childs, there's been a lot said about how terrible he's been. Chip Kelly is going to fix that. I think the offense will be solid. I think the defense will be pretty good. They just don't have the quality of athlete that some of these other teams in the Big Ten have. And then Michigan State. Pat Fitzgerald's a hell of a football coach. People forget what he did at Northwestern pre-NIL, where it was all just, merit. He won a lot of games. He ended up obviously leaving because of the whole scandal thing. He's back at Michigan State. Is Michigan State a very talented team? Absolutely not. But can they, beat a middle of the pack team? Yeah. They can grind out some wins. I think that's what they're going to end up doing. I think if they make a bowl game, that would absolutely be a success. And then for the basement of this conference, it's Rutgers, it's Purdue. Rutgers has talent at the skill positions, to be honest with you. Will it matter? No, because USC, Michigan, Washington, Iowa, and Penn State have significantly more talent on the outside. But there's some dudes who I look at and that guy is pretty solid. Just nothing that will break, through the wall that they need to break through. And then Purdue's pretty god-awful. Their AD came out and said, we're going to win a national championship. This is where you come to win national championships. No, it's not. You're the third best team in your own state. No, I don't think things get better anytime soon. These are not these spoiler makers of the past. And I love the spoiler makers. I very much like Purdue. But no, they're going to be a very, very, very bad football team in 2026. But let me know what you guys think of the Big Ten tier list. I don't think there should be too much disagreement between where I put these teams. And also, in the same tier, that is not a ranking. So I don't necessarily think Illinois is better than Nebraska, although I do think, that individual one is correct. But if you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider watching a full episode. Follow all my social medias that are below me, because we cover this sport year round and we cover this sport top to bottom.